What in God's name is that from Thorin?
So obviously, yeah, this period where Felps came along was interesting because it started badly. Like some of the tournaments weren't like, you had the one good tournament was DreamHack Vegas, but then you had a couple of tournaments you weren't even making the playoffs, which, as I just described earlier, your team was just, it was expected you'd be top four. That was standard. So was that initially when there was problems, did you wonder if the Felps move was the wrong move?
No, especially because the first tournament we played, we should have won. We lost to VP. Was in a clutch situation that people say like, go right. Go right was Felps and Taco. Was like a winnable situation. 1v2. People say like, go right. 1, 2, 3. One go right. One went left. So we lost.
Right.
So we lost the clutch and lost the match. But we were like, okay, we're like 1 week of practice. We're already topping the world. That's only gonna go up from here, right? And we went down really bad. And Malmo, the Rush Banana one on Felps and Fur, actually made us think about it. Like, hey, we need to change the mentality, not the players. We got together, we talk a lot, and that's one thing that actually back then was hard for us because we were so used to be at least top 4 that not being top 4 was like a shame back then. And had way more weight than supposed to. Was like 8 months without a trophy for a team that was like winning everything, and hurts. Even though people were working, but things were not clicking. And I remember we had a break after this tournament. We talk with everybody. We talk with Felps, how we think he should play. We try his approach for the game, but wasn't like what other 2 or 3 guys think was right. So we pretty much said like, okay, we're going to give our approach to the game and see if it works. Because right now it's not working. Why we have to lose, right? And then we had like 1-2 months. And then we went to Summit, right? And we won Summit. And for me, that team, among all the teams that went through like me in these 5 years, was the best Brazilian team I ever seen playing. At least for me, was the only team that actually, okay, we're going to play a tournament. I would have just looked for the trophy. I knew the trophy would come. Doesn't really matter how, but it would come. By going like toe-to-toe for the last round, grinding rounds, doing comebacks, sure. I knew the trophy would come. The state of mind of that team on that period, like the 5 or 7 tournaments we won.
5 out of 6, yeah.
Yeah, was just strong. And unfortunately, we kind of let it down after Cologne that we won against Cloud9, and the major was supposed to be next. Sure. And the mentality wasn't there anymore. We kind of dropped off the tournament. I don't know if it's like a burnout. Burnout, I would consider like people like tired to play. Right there was like a mentality burnout. Actually, the winning mentality we lost in 1 week after Cologne was just too much for us.
When you guys were at the top, like you say, and with this lineup, obviously with Felps when he was playing well, it was a very, very skilled lineup. One of the things that I've always pointed out in my videos that I saw as like a core strength of this team was it's just amazing in clutch situations, whenever the game's close. It's like you just knew somehow this team would find a way to win. Now, what's interesting to me about that is I've watched all the great Brazilian teams in the past to Counter-Strike, and actually Brazilian Counter-Strike wasn't ever like this. It was never slow and players playing off each other. It was like rushing and lots of skill and everyone has ops all of a sudden and, you know, crazy style of play. It kind of is like the Samba CS style, you know, there was like an up-tempo style. So where did this style come from? Like, was Fallen actually a key part in kind of bringing this to the game? If people oversold that part, what's it like?
Yes, I remember like, especially when they changed for Taco and Phoenix and Zeus, everything was need to be on the flow. So before this, the Brazilian CS was pretty much like, okay, we're going to do this execute. Just be ready. We're going to do this, and this. After the DreamHack that finished in second, people actually realized, oh, if you're going to play with like just flowing and knowing the basics of like CSGO and feeding information and feeding trading kills off each other can be good. So yeah, the mentality Fallen actually helped a lot on this. The mentality Fallen gave to us was like, okay, we need to play a little bit like Navi. That was like, you know, waiting, and the game plan was pretty much okay. They're gonna use all the utility and then we're gonna execute on them, right? For us, it was like, okay, we don't want to do this. If you see the game, you can actually look and check. Our proposal in the game is like map space. We need to get as map control as we can. If you get like map control, easy to win, because especially if you get the first skill, we're just gonna get map control, trade, we're gonna win.
Sure.
That was like our mentality back then. That's why sometimes it would be like a slow game, because it's not like nowadays. Nowadays, everybody, especially with the Krieg, the Og, people are not gonna be behind like in the smoke.
Sure.
People are gonna take the duel like in front of your face. And back then, worked a lot, because, and especially when we were dominant, because teams start getting scary against us and giving way more map control. So we would see like FaZe is staying on T-spawn against Fer going like overpass, running the whole map to get them on T-spawn, because they were like scared and giving like map control for us. And if you give map control for that team back then, was like the only thing they needed.
After this period, when Felps left and in came Boltz, then you had this another run, short one, but you won the 3 tournaments. You had a nice little spurt. You were considered like number one. It was you and FaZe were the 2 battling at the top of the scene, right? This was a move I wanted to ask about, because obviously Boltz was in the team in the past, but he was a very different player. And as you'd seen when he got kicked out, seemed like something changed. He came back, he looked much stronger. And for those first few tournaments, he was looking great. But then what happened? Because it seems like as a player, he looked like, just even visibly, like he lost his confidence and, lost his feel for the game or something.
I don't know. To be really honest, in that team, the problem wasn't Boltz. I think Boltz was just like the only one that actually really took the problem and show, even in his face, which problem it was. On Brazilian teams, especially on our team, when we get really good and has a break, because you got to consider this, in Brazil, we are really big. And we're not, and most of the players doesn't really realize how big we are, because we're not like in Brazil the whole year. We're in Brazil for 10 days, for 15 days at the most, right? And when we get there, it's crazy. It's something crazy. It's just, if the president call fallen, it's like, it's something like,
Sure.
like have to be big to be this. And I think on that team, actually, the break, because I remember we screwed up. We didn't qualify for ACS Cancun for like 6 rounds, something like that, right? We kind of drop off. I was like, okay, everything. And that's another wrong mentality. And throughout the pass, it doesn't really matter who you change in our team. Just, okay, Torin, you want to play? Come. We're going to win tournament. It happened like this.
Sure.
And people start taking this for granted. Like, doesn't really matter. The core is so strong. If you put a guy that's actually not gonna really screw us up, we're gonna win. And reality showed that, like, for a short period of time, that was true. But I remember Boltz start taking so much criticism, like in Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, social media in general. They start affecting him. And it happened with Felps, the same thing. The same community I told you can be really good, can be really bad, and break the team. We try to actually not force, but ask for people like, hey, don't care about it, don't do this.
Sure.
But in the end of the day, they're just gonna watch their phones, and that's another problem. They have families, and their families, Brazilian families, are like this on CS. Everything started, nobody would get a time. Now, actually, because of the work hard, they can provide. And then, like, dogs, girlfriends, moms, that everybody became part of the team. So all of a sudden, you see like family behind really feeding information for the players, but they don't even know what the heck they're talking about, right? They don't live in a day by day. And the same family, they actually sometimes the girlfriend because when we win, she will speak up like on social media. And everybody will be like, oh, gosh, you are the reason we are winning.
Yeah.
Right. But when we lose, be ready, because you can be the reason that we're losing to.
Sure,
right?
Yeah.
And this like transfer, like the frustration they have, transfer to the players, and the players get upset too, because I understand them, it's their families. But I can't control the outcomes of this, right? And the players sometimes they're just gonna be like in a spur downhill. And even Fab, sometimes he asks to left. Can I leave the team? I was like, bro, we're gonna play a tournament in 2 days. You already bought even tickets for like your brother and your mom to be in Russia. I don't want to play. I just don't want to play. I was like, gosh, okay. Let me try to find a guy in 2 days. What am I supposed to do? And then we got Boltz. But happens. It's a lot of like. It's more chaotic than people might think about it. Like manage personal relationships to not like really affect what a team should be.
Sure. Actually, one thing I want to ask along those lines is, did Zeus no longer being a coach and in fact not having a coach for a while, do you think that made these kinds of problems harder? I mean, isn't that kind of something a coach would take over and, like check that this person is doing well or like manage communication, etc.?
I don't really think so because this kind of problems is more outside. And players, especially CSGO players, they don't really, they see like coaches as a guy to gonna help you in the game.
Yes, watch the demos and stuff, sure.
Yeah, they don't see as a coach a guy that can help you in the real life. I mean, I am this kind of guy, but that's one thing I'm never gonna touch, like family. I'm not gonna get between family because they can go down really. So I don't think like having Zeus there, I don't think would make any difference because how are we gonna make any difference? That's what I think. How are we gonna make like any difference if you've been winning so much? The problem right there is like winning so much got to a point that actually people thought winning would be easy, and it wasn't. Not at all.
Sure. Yeah. So one period that I'm very interested to ask about is obviously what sounds like a fan on HLTV writing like a fun story. Like imagine if Simple joined MIB, but it was SK at the time, but this move obviously, as everyone now knows, was basically done, right? I mean, people have heard the story that it's Simple agreed, but then Flamey, for some reason at last minute agreed, and then at that time Simple didn't agree, and it's like they didn't both at the same time agree to go or something. You guys told me some story that was like even more ridiculous. That was like, he was supposed to literally just get on a plane, like he's supposed to be in the team basically. So can you give us some insight? What happened with that whole deal?
The deal was pretty much done back then, and I'm not gonna give all the details because it's a little bit more complicated and involve like people and all this stuff, but the deal was done. He pulled out like last minute, and I understand his reasons for. But I mean, I remember we were like when I made like meetings with him. Even so, Noah was in a meeting, like the CEO back then. Him with Flamey, and we were like, okay, we're done. But the only thing I asked for them was like, you guys need to be here like in 4 days because the ACS season, I remember pretty clear. It was like a Thursday, and we need to play against Renegades. And we're like, guys, we now have. I even joke around with Simple. I was like, hey, Sasha, we don't need even to prac. We're gonna play. We're just gonna do your thing, and you get whatever you want. And we're probably gonna drop like 30 bombs, and we're good to go. But it didn't happen. We were really excited to have this team. I remember like we were watching even his streams back then. I was like, gosh, we're gonna dominate everything. It's gonna be simple. Do your job, code, do whatever is left, fair, get the first pick, fallen. Just don't fuck around. That's what he used to say.
Sure. Yeah. Because the other part to this as well, right, is that for people who don't know, like you have to have watched a lot of interviews to pick up these little details, but I've seen mentioned in other interviews and reports that it wasn't just Simple. Like there was it's almost like you guys just took the list of like the best players in the world. And you were like, right, Simple, he's not available. Nico, not there. Shocks used to be pretty good. Does he come in? It's like you just went down the list and you had all these big names. Well, unfortunately, at this point in time, for some reason, no one was available.
Yeah. To be really honest, we thought it would be way more easier than we was, right? We faced a lot of things that we thought like people. I think it was we took it for granted that we were good and people would do whatever it takes to be here, and we learned it the hard way that doesn't really matter if you have the money to buy. Doesn't really matter if people are willing to come. A lot of things can get in the way, and unfortunately, that's what happened back then. But yeah, we try a lot of people. That's for sure. Everybody that we thought would fit and would be good. We tried, and that's one thing that we need to thank MIBR, because they actually gave us the resource to like, okay, if it makes sense, if you guys come here, work around with us, present like something that actually makes sense, doesn't really matter, we'll do it. And that's one kind of backup we never had in our entire career.
Since, like I said, when you went down all these names, eventually Stewie was there. He'd obviously just won the major. He was obviously one of the best NA players historically. Right, when you got him in the team, the results weren't that great. It was mainly later when Tarik came, finally got some wins, etc. But when you had Stewie into the team, was everyone on board with this move initially? Did everyone think it was the right move?
Yeah, it was. I mean, we got a kind of we won him. And automatic, right? He said no, and we asked Jake, hey, he's not coming. I don't know who we're gonna pick up, so we're gonna have Boltz here, but Boltz doesn't speak in really good English. Are you sure you wanna come? We're gonna try our best to put you in the family, accommodate you inside the game, but will be some barriers right there. That's for sure. He just said yes, I'm willing to join right now, and let's make it happen. Okay. But the intention, like I said, would be him and automatic back there.
Because what's actually one thing I wanted to ask you about, because when he joined the team and you guys were going to the first tournaments, I actually remember as an obvious problem that he would have is because he doesn't speak Portuguese, and like you say, Boltz is just going to speak Portuguese only. There would be times when, there would just be a group of people speaking Portuguese. We've all been in teams for years and years, and then Stewie 2K was just sort of sat vaguely close to them. Doesn't speak Portuguese, just sitting waiting for someone to talk to him in English. I noticed that it looked like you were always trying to be more active, trying to give him someone to talk to, bring him into the group. Was it tough to integrate him into MIBR?
Not really, because he's really outgoing, right? So I told him pretty much that it wouldn't be that easy at the beginning, because English wasn't the casual language for everybody. And we have one guy that barely speaks English, and coldzera was picking up the English back then. So of course, if they want to talk with teammates and other stuff or have a good time, they will eventually talk in Portuguese. But I told him I would do my best to help this to change, starting English lessons and all this stuff. We did. In the end, everybody was really integrated, speaking English all the time, especially when Tarik and Yanko joined all the time, which we try at least the best to speak English all the time. Even, kind of people sometimes speaking Portuguese, I would come, or Yanko would come, hey, English, please. People right off the bat was no, speaking English and all this stuff. We try, and I told him it's going to be a slow process, but eventually, I told him, I was give us time. We're gonna let's have this time together and see if it's actually gonna work or not. You're jumping something that we don't know if it's gonna actually work, but thank you for trusting us that we're gonna do as much as we can to make it work, and we're gonna try to make it work with you too. So I even nowadays we are really I mean, he lives with me, but all the other guys are really close with him, really close with him.
Now, when you look back now, did the team give the wrong roles or use Tarik and Stewie in the wrong way? What do you think the issue with the team was? Because obviously, Stewie 2K's got having a great time in Team Liquid now. All the players are still in top teams. What do you think the issue was?
The issue was we didn't have that much time. People actually, I don't say especially the Brazilians, but that's the problem. People. I remember when I talked with Yanko. He joined the team. I was like, Yanko, it's gonna be hard. Let's give us 6 months. We're gonna prove in 6 months. And I remember telling him, I was like, we are the one of the few teams in the world that everybody can go off. And if 2 guys go off, we're gonna win the match. So, but we need to be in the same page. Give us 6 times. And I told Yanko, I was like, hey, our plan is to win Katowice, the major in Katowice. Right. That's our plan, right? So everything besides winning the major is a plus, and everything we lost is just a learning curve, but we're going to be improving. And actually, if you're going to take the team, in the end of the team, we were doing pretty good results. Finals on ECS, a top 4 on EPL, and some like Blast Istanbul finals, but we end up the year being top 4, right? In 4 months in the team that actually was just like kind of assembled together with another language. That's what I told even for the guys was really good. It's not like everybody can just like speak another language from nowhere, get another 2 guys and top 4 in the world making finals. And what was impressive during the Astralis era, we are the only team that actually could put a fight against them. And that was something that was hard back then because for us, our expectation is playing against Astralis. And sometimes we end up losing for like a random team, right? And I think that was kind of, it started getting like frustrating people because everybody was expecting to play against Astralis. And we had another like 14 teams in the tournament to play. It wasn't just Astralis. Sure. But I think what went wrong, we didn't give time to actually things to work out. I think it would be way better if you had like at least 1 year trying with this team.
Well, I want to obviously ask you about what it was like to have my mate Janko from the analyst desk be the coach of MIBR, because I can tell you, like in English, what we would say is you describe someone like that, you say he's a character, which usually means like they're a little bit crazy, but you like them, like I know from my own stories, he's a very interesting character and a very unusual personality. What was it like to have him as a coach of a Brazilian team? Seems like a crazy culture clash, like Serbian guy with Brazilian players. There must have been some arguments in this team.
And and it was weird because the culture is kind of the same. And sometimes we even joke about it. It was like, so far away, but it's still like thinking maybe they're wrong things, but at the same time, right? But for me, it was amazing. I think he's a really hard-working guy. I think he brought a lot of things for the team. I think some of the things he brought up, we weren't ready to actually have it. I think in the end of the day, for me, if you're gonna ask me like how it was with Uncle, for me, I was gonna be positive. I think we learned a lot from him. I think he learned a lot, not just for us, like how players, but how he's like esports, inside the esports. There's a lot of like things people from outside doesn't really think. And I see a lot of analysis. It's like, oh yeah, they should be doing this, and this. On the reality, man, when they say like for like I start, like you should be doing this, they start gonna look at you as like almost saying like shut the fuck up, and that's eventually what's gonna happen. Didn't happen that much with Uncle because everybody was really open to actually learn from him. But in the end of the day, it was just like people wanted to become like a Brazilian language to speak again, and that I like Tarik a lot, but I felt kind of sorry because I think back then Jake was one of the best teammates we could ever ask for. So by the time he went to League, I was like, yeah, shit, like we're just giving ammo for our enemy, and happened to be true.
I mean, on your side of the deal, though, it did make sense as well. Like, if you have Team Liquid, this North American team, and then suddenly, like, Taco joins and they get really good, Zeus is the coach and they're really good, like, it makes sense to just say, come back to us. Let's make the Brazilian team again.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. We didn't give Jake, like, Liquid thinking we're going to be worse.
Obviously.
I thinking, like, we're going to be even better, right? It's not something like, oh, yeah, Jake, let's be worse. No. We made it. We actually were the one that actually, like, made the change, so we thought it would be like better, but in the back of my hand I knew they would be good too, and even the guys that joined was like, yeah, they're gonna be good, but we made this change to be even better than them, but was a good thing. I mean, for living as a human being, I think everybody got a lot from like these international things. I mean, if you definitely can get like 5 really good Brazilians, I would say it's worth it. Sure. If you can get it, not like really good players, but the players that actually, because when we were international, every change or everything we needed to do was way more easier and open. Nowadays the Brazilian market is impossible. Or we are in the verge to actually maybe now have like a fifth, because the Brazilian players, they are locked up. That's the reality. They are locked up on their contracts and got to a point that doesn't really matter if they're going to be better for his career, his financial situation, his life, his everything. They just can't come. So there's nothing we can do about it.
One thing I want to ask about, like rewinding a little bit, was in that year, last year, there was this famous period which was very confusing from the outside, where we heard that like coldzera's like the in-game leader on like 2 maps, and then Fallen's the in-game leader on 2 maps, and then supposedly even Stewie 2K was like sometimes taking a turn on 1 map, and so right. When I hear this story, and at the same time, I knew from like after parties and rumors in the scenes, like maybe coldzera wants to play with Nico, maybe he wants to join Team Liquid and play with Taco again. You know, there's like possibilities. Maybe he wants to leave. Was this connected in any way? Was there any sort of like a break in the team?
No, it wasn't really connected on this period. This period was pretty much like we've been losing. I remember back in the day, we were like not really good, but winning matches here and there, right? And Fallen was like, guys, Code, just go 1 map. Let me just see if your ideas, I can get something from your ideas, right? So I can be like even more completed, because I don't know, maybe I'm outdated and I just need to like study more, do research, or even like if you implement your ideas, I can get whatever is best from them and combine with mine, and you're going to become even stronger. Of course, as everybody knows, coldzera's interviews on HLTV are the best for the audience, but now the best to transcript what is really happening in the team, right? So yeah, made like people think about like, oh my gosh, Fallen, how like one of the best CGL just giving like the whole for coldzera. Wasn't never like this. It's like, oh no, yeah, even Jake is calling. Yeah, man. If I just ask for the guy, give me time so people can speak your language, imagine like you'll be coming here in GL like in Portuguese, impossible, right?
Yeah, sure.
But what's pretty much what happened wasn't something like, it wasn't a mess, like everybody tried to put it out there, but it wasn't ideal. And that's one thing that even, I remember I was against. So there's like, Fallen, doesn't really matter. You're still one of the best in the world. Doesn't really matter if you're not having results. You're still the best. For me, at least, and just do it. If you don't have confidence, let's do like any different ways we can have like your confidence back. Not calling is not the right choice to actually have your confidence back, and he understood. That's normal. I mean, every team has like this ups and downs. The only problem is like our downs is a little bit bigger than other downs, because sometimes people expose this, people sometimes even like not really tell the truth about it, or sometimes you get just a player go do an HLTV interview and get everything twisted, and it goes down, right?
Sure.
But
okay,
it wasn't really messy.
Another thing I wanted to ask about was, obviously, if we think of the era of all the success, coldzera is a key figure. I mean, he was the player being voted the best in the world. As we discussed in this interview, there's times when he was just like unbelievably good and he's winning matches for you guys. But there's also this scenario where, aside from the early rumors, maybe he wanted to leave. Now he is leaving. Now he's going to be gone. He's leaving the squad. What can obviously the deal hasn't all completed yet. He hasn't fully gone to the next team. We haven't seen it all. We don't even know technically publicly what team he's joining yet. But he's going to be leaving MIBR. So what would you kind of say as a way to put like your thoughts on coldzera and his time in the team and what he brought to the team?
First of all, through your channel, your voice, I can be clear. He is on the bench waiting for offers, but doesn't really mean he's leaving. He's just leaving if somebody pays. If somebody don't pay, he might go to the bench and he might come back in 6 months. It's a possibility, right? So it's not like, oh my gosh, like coldzera is leaving. If somebody pays, yeah, he's willing to leave. We are willing to sell, but tomorrow can be different. You never know. Right? Yeah, he asked to leave the team. That's my point of view. I think it's not the best.
Your webcam went off. Turn it back on again.
Okay.
Press the button. Yeah, there you go.
Better now?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. My point of view, I think he still can be the best in the world if he put his mind mentality. I think we might get to a point that either he needed a break from us or he needed a part of ways with us. The only difference is like to be a break or part of the ways is if somebody actually buy him. We're not gonna make any objections. If somebody come and pay, he goes. If he's willing to go as well. But I think he got to a point that he needed something more, or maybe even getting out of his comfort zone. And that's what I think he thought about it. What I think is like, no, wasn't the right thing. And what I think is people tends to see the other side of the fence better than actually it is. And when people actually leave, they look behind. It's like, oh my gosh, I had everything. Now I don't have this, at least 10% of what I had, right? And I don't think it's actually, I just wish the best for him. I don't think this is going to happen with him, but I think there's a high chance that when he leaves, we for sure going to miss him. The coldzera we knew back then, the coldzera that actually was like the best professional I ever saw and focused to be the best player in the world. This coldzera we're going to miss forever. And it'll be funny, enjoyable, and happy for us, and at the same time disgraceful if he goes to a team and get this mentality again. And I'm pretty sure he's gonna be one of the best in the world again if he has this mentality, if he gets this fire back for him. If not, and I told him, if you're leaving, your buyout's pretty high, bro. To buy you back is gonna be even higher. So if you leave, you leave. It's
gonna be the right move. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So think twice. And I mean, he seems that he's like pretty sure. It's not gonna be like a Taco Zales thing. It's like, yeah, we have something to offer here, and we can even see like do a deal, business. Yes. No, his leaving means he left. I would say for at least a long 1-2 years, right? So it's up to him now, and up to actually the most important part. If somebody comes and buy him out, otherwise he will stay sitting. He's gonna live up with his contract until we need him, or until the IGC, the MIBR org feels like, we need to sell them.
One thing I also wanted to know was, you said earlier in the story that before you got Felps the first time, you were deciding between these players. One of them was Lucas at the time. And I remember actually seeing Fallen in some interview once say that if you'd have just been trying to recruit for exactly the type of role of what FNX did, then actually it would have made more sense to get Lucas instead of getting Felps, because obviously Felps is like a much more aggressive player for a start off, and he had kind of his own mentality in the game. So this is someone where I've heard stories over the years. Both him and Henny separately have had these offers to go to teams, but the thing is, at least as far as I was told, they always wanted to stay together. They always want to play. I get it. Like, I even told people, I kind of get it. If I had a twin brother and we're both really good at the game, we can be on a team together. What could be better? That sounds amazing. How did you finally kind of break the two up? How did you get Lucas on his own?
First of all, I don't want to be cocky or nothing, but there's a lot of situations that applies for a lot of teams, but not for us. I mean, like player-wise. Of course, they wouldn't play on Furia separately, right? But they would always play separately in MIBR or SK back in the day. And Lucas actually, he joined after FNX, but he did some, young players, he did some like kind of stupid things. The actually was like, no, you're not joining anymore. Let's get Felps, right? He grew a lot. It's been like 3 years. Nowadays, he's not like a 19 years old anymore. He's like a 23. So he grew a lot, and nowadays he didn't screw up. That's why he's joining. I mean, we're gonna have the final word after the major, but most likely he's probably gonna join. And I never saw this on like, I can play without him. Of course, if you're gonna play in other teams, like they were immortals to play in LG. Yeah, I'm never gonna play without my brother. But for us, I mean, and they need to be reasonable. Who are going to replace to get Henny? Falling? I don't think it's happening pretty soon. So it's just place for one.
Sure.
And now it has another spot, but I think they're probably gonna be better players and human beings playing off each other. Like without each other. They're gonna
Right.
grew a lot, like as a human being, not having a backup as a brother. I think it's great what they did together. For sure, not gonna happen anytime soon. Like a
No,
twins
no.
playing at a high level, but it's history. Just move on and both have their careers and just play and see where they can get. Hope Lucas can help us and hope Henny can help LG. That's the only thing I can hope. But in the end of the day, I need to think what is better for my team.
Sure. One thing I wanted to ask in along those lines is one of the famous things about the twins was when they were playing in this team before they got into Luminosity, before it was 100 Thieves, it was called the Villa Mix, and people know the context of this story is that's like, they were into like clubbing and having fun, and if you've ever seen their Instagram, you'd think they were like a NBA player or something. Like the amount of like parties I've seen them at and sick cars, it looks awesome, but that does make people wonder, in the Brazilian scene, is it a problem that when people get like money and fame, they go a bit too crazy with the party side as opposed to the professional side?
But that's the problem. The Brazilian scene is like this. I mean, a lot of things they did, even players did back in the past. I'm 100% against on it. But Brazilians think they're cool. And people that sometimes like young and all this stuff, they think they're the right path because they're getting fame. And
Sure.
people don't have the difference between the bad fame and the good fame, right? I'd rather be fallen, like not that popular with all the parties and all the stuff, but doing something for the rest of his life and his career, than doing something you're gonna get like instant fame and kill your career.
Sure.
And that's the path. And you know better than me. You see players in the tournament. If you're gonna watch like Instagram from players, you're gonna say like, "Oh my gosh, they're traveling everywhere." Literally, players just stay in the hotel. The most they could go to like
It's pretty boring
bridge.
usually.
Yeah, go to a bridge, take a picture, tag the city, and just to say like, "Oh my god, they've been traveling
Yes.
all over the world." No, the truth is like they're just gonna be on their like prac rooms, and that's it. And it's not something that because they have to, because they want to be in the prac room their whole life. Like. So people take like for Instagram, people, oh my gosh, they're living the good life and all this stuff. Just a picture for a moment, which I think, and I told them is stupid, because nowadays, even in vacation, you are a public figure, especially in Brazil too. You influence a lot of kids.
Sure.
So we need to, your image has to be a professional, because you might take vacation, but your public account, your public figure doesn't take a vacation, right?
Yes.
And people need to be more aware with that. I tell this for a lot of people. A lot of players actually post a lot of like stupid things on Instagram. I was like, why you're doing this, bro? You want to look cool for what? Like, who you? I don't know. For in my mind, it doesn't make sense. Like you can enjoy, you can have fun, you can do everything you want without posting a picture, and that's it. Nobody knows why you're gonna do it. Nobody's like attaching to you. But some people just need to show something, and at least in the case that actually matters to me, like Lucas, he understood that's really bad for him. It was really bad for him. Actually, killed his chances here back then on SK. So I don't think he's gonna do the same mistake after 3 years. He is, I would say, a better person, but we still have way more room to work with him to make him even better. Because people don't understand. This is a business. It's not a philanthropy, right? His image matters for us. So we need to
Sure.
develop his image. Of course, he's not going to be like a whole famous in the world CSGO player because he doesn't speak English. But he's really markable. Even like the stupid things he says actually became like a meme, like Keota, whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
Everybody, the whole scene say this. He could have capitalized from this for a lot of reasons.
Of course, yeah.
Right? But that's what we want for him. A player that actually we can develop his image as one really prominent scene in South America, maybe in the world. He like taking English classes, learning, and people realize that that's the future. And I hope everybody understand that, not just my team, but the whole scene.
Since you were talking about image and marketing, and we talked earlier in the interview about some of the, like the SK moment with Fallen, where that was probably a bad look for him. Like he came off looking like he was like biased or lying or something, and hence the meme came out about being two-faced, etc. I want to ask this, okay? Who is Fallen to you as a person? Like, what type of a guy is he? Because I always tell people, even though me and him sometimes have like our back and forths on Twitter, and obviously like we've bantered each other, etc. I always tell people, even if I don't agree with some of the things he said, or obviously there's times when I've criticised him, he is really charismatic. Like, he's the kind of person where if he said something to me on the internet, I'd be like, it's full of shit. But if he was saying it to me in person, part of me would almost want to believe it. Like, I'd almost be like, he's telling a good story here, though. Like, he's very charming when he does it. Who is Fallen the person to you?
He's a pretty chill guy. That's one thing. I mean, as a friend, he's one of the best one you can have. He's always loyal to you. Always gonna do right there. And he's logical. You don't have that many people in the scene that actually think like twice and with logic to solve problems, right?
Sure.
So that's really good. As a player, I think the only difference between Fallen and the rest of like 99% players is just smarter than them. He knows, like, I mean, I'm gonna say again, his logic. He knows going off on social media, blasting people, not gonna help you. And but he learned from the past. I remember he did I remember the just pussies win no matter what.
Yeah,
I remember
when pussies tried to win us.
Yeah, I remember looking at him. He was laughing. I was like, "You can laugh. Is why you did that?" Like it's like, "Oh, am I screwed up?" I was like, "Yeah, you did. There's no reason to do that for out of nowhere. At least if you're gonna pick a fight, don't start a fight." And he's like, yeah, but he learned really fast, and a lot of the players doesn't really learn that fast, or they think they're always right. He has a leader, in-game leader as a friend. He has this gift that nowadays is kind of hard, even not just like the scene, for the whole world, knowing that, okay, I'm wrong because everybody's right nowadays, right?
Sure.
So for me, he's like a really chill guy. He knows what he wants. He has like on his vision where he wants to go, maybe ways he can get there, and how he can help and how we can help him to achieve, and he can help us to achieve. So I think like he's a really down-to-earth guy. And yeah, for me, it's the same thing, because you see the guy, you was like, oh gosh, he doesn't harm nobody. He doesn't. Oh yeah, let's go to the bar. He gonna ask for a water and a cheeseburger. Let's go to.
Okay.
Sometimes it was like, hey, we need to chill. Happened before. We went to like, oh yeah, let's go to a pub. We practicing so hard. Let's just like enjoy a beer, something like that. He'll be right there, sip like a beer. Oh, I want to go back. I feel like I want to streaming. I was like, okay, go. But he's really, and one thing, he's 100% committed to his work, always. So that's really notable nowadays. Like, he's kind of old right now. I mean, old, like between players, like 27. But he's been committed to his job since he was like 16, 17. And that's notable. I don't see that many people in a lot of areas doing this. Yeah. So for me, he's an example for new generations that actually want to became good. Aim this guy because this guy, he can teach you inside the game, and outside the game he can teach you even more. And that's, in the end of the day, people need to understand, you play the game for a lot, but you might never gonna be like a simple. That's not easy to have like simples, Nikos, Coldziras, and Zayu. But average player with a really good and be really good for the team, that's even rare sometimes. So this guy can teach you to get there.
Since you mentioned it earlier, I've got to ask about this crazy video where the literal president of Brazil is talking to Fallen over the phone, and Fallen's trying to like tell him to, reduce tax for gamers or something. It's like he was even using his charisma on the president. It was pretty cool. But what people don't know, perhaps internationally, is this president's quite a controversial one, right? I mean, it's kind of the equivalent of if Stewie 2K was getting a call from Donald Trump. People would immediately, no matter what he's saying, be like, "Wow, how can you talk to him? He's a terrible person." What can you give some insight for people who aren't from Brazil? Like, was this such a shocking moment when it happened?
I mean, first of all, I'm not gonna go to like political ideas and all this stuff, but Brazil is a pretty big country. This president won with like 51% of the votes, right? So way more sometimes. I don't know, but it was a really strong voting on him, and he's the president. I might not agree with his policies and all this stuff, but I'm not in a situation to hang up a president.
Sure.
Right? Like, I don't agree, but like if the president calls me, yeah, I will answer. I mean, like he's the president. I mean, from my point of view, this kind of president, like he's a really controversial figure in Brazil, and he's doing what he said he would have done. I don't know if is that the right path to go or not, but he's like Trump here, like, okay, I'm gonna try to build a wall. I mean, right or wrong, he's trying to do what he wants to do it, you know, like it's the same thing as this president in Brazil. He's pretty big, but it's the kind of situation that or either you love him or either you hate him. So Brazil nowadays as a political part is like really divided. Or either you're left or either you're right. There's no middle, you know, like, or either you're like a communism or either you're like, I don't know. It's the political scene in Brazil is really weird. And of course, and this has been happening in Brazil, a lot of like politicians or even like people from other sports, they want to come to esports because we talk about the youth. They'll be the ones that have a voice. I mean, has like a lobby to poker be considered like a mind sport, right?
Sure.
And of course, poker want to get together with esports because poker, even though has way more money, it's just like guys on like 40s, 50s. Sure. They're not going to be the ones that actually being like in the social media asking to, pass the bill. They don't have the power. Esports people, like young kids that pretty much stay on their phones 90% of the day, they will have the power. So of course the president want to get one guy that like the most prominent figure of the esports in Brazil to talk and show the community like, oh yeah, I'm doing something in pro of the community. And yeah, if you actually reduce the tax, it's good for everybody. Nobody want to be paying more tax. But in the other day, what people say is like, okay, he's reducing this tax. What about the other things? Like, guys, I don't think Fallen is the guy that's actually going to solve. He's doing his part, right?
Exactly.
And people blame even him. Oh, how come? How you dare to talk with the president? Yeah, am I going to hang up the president? Am I going to say no? Raise the tax? Yeah, he's helping. He's helping the way he can. You know, like.
It must be strange though, since you were there in the really old school days that you were saying, where the prize is like not very much money, no one's getting paid, you play for money. It must be kind of crazy to talk to the president, have people like Neymar, like literally friends knowing the team, following the team. This must be kind of wild, right?
It is. It is. I mean, that's one of the things I even joke with the guys here. I was like, okay, here in this house, I am Ricardo, you're Gabriel, you're Marcelo, you're Fernando. Don't put up with the bullshit with me. You are Fallen, you're Fer. No, I'm not your fan. I'm your friend here. And yeah, it gets to a point that's like, yeah, we go to Brazil sometimes. You got like really famous people saying like, hey, what's up? Yeah, here, you want to come and see my football match? That's something I couldn't even believe it. You know, like I was like, oh my gosh. And since I live in US, I don't go that often to Brazil. So sometimes I go there and see people that are like, and I'm the kind of guy that I can't speak for myself. I'm really low key on social media and all this stuff. Sometimes I speak, but I don't Instagram. I just gotta put like pictures, random pictures. I don't gonna where I go. I don't tag where I used to have fun. I'm really on like, I just do what I want, you know, like really quiet. And I see some guys like even tagging me saying like, hey, what's up? You want to do this? Want to do this? Famous guys. For me, it's even scary. It's like, oh my gosh, you know, like we went to Spain. Casemiro, he's a really like big figure. He plays for Real Madrid. For people from US, they don't really know how big is Real Madrid, but for people that actually know like football,
it's an enormous club, yeah, of course.
He's played for the Brazilian selection. Is huge for us as the Brazilians, right? being there, barbecuing with the guy, and the guy actually like telling things that happen inside his team, and curious to like even know about things that actually happens with your team. And you are like a esport player, and you get like people that are like athletes, like from Real Madrid, right? And you kind of in the end you make the connection that the words is not like too far away apart,
sure.
you know,
The similarities, yeah.
And that's one thing like I couldn't even imagine. And like, and yeah, that's one thing I started believing. Yeah, the words are kind of have the things actually are the same. That's something I never thought it, to be really honest, but it's really good.
At the end of this interview, do you have like a final message for people, or someone you want to thank, someone you want to say hello to?
I want to thank the fans. Like I told you, can be good, it can be bad, but most of the part are good. I want to thank you, like especially all the MyBR, the IGC, because they're really helping us that much. My wife, Camila, actually, she's like a pivotal part in the whole team. People doesn't really know that, but yeah, she's pretty much the one that keep the glue and do everything for us, make my job really easy, and the guy is really easy as well. And thank you for the invite. Thank you the whole community, and for the fans that like us. We're going through like some turmoil right now. Oh, almost finishing this. We might gonna have like our new fifth. We can go over there, and we're just hoping right now to build everything that we built before, build like a really strong foundation so we can grow up on it. And thanks for support and believe in us. Trust the process, as a cliche, and and we're probably gonna get there again.
Obrigado. This video was kindly supported by Patrick Ribeiro, Penguinoff9, Dean Tanglis, Andreas Snazore Westerlund, Fat Guy got 24 ADR in an online qualifier, Lee Chow Lan, Blunt Smoking Anus Destroyer, J-Dubs, Ho Chi Mao, Tobias Bernasconi, Nate DOGG, Alexander Rao, Collier G, and as always, special thanks goes out to Jerky's Minion. Now, do you want to suggest a topic or a guest for some of my content? Obviously, I have quite a varied output. Do you want to ask me a question for my monthly video AMA? Maybe you want teasers, see who the guests are on my next shows. Do you want to take part in a donator discussion with me about esports? Well, if so, put your money where your mouth is. Join the Scrilluminati today. In the description box below, there's a Patreon link.